What's up, y'all? Happy Thursday, y'all. Hope everybody's having a good day. Sweet. I'm just popping on here for a quick little, 25, 30-minute Q&A session. If you're watching on the replay, another reminder, we're live every Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday at 4 or 5 Eastern. You can check it out on the YouTube channel there. So yeah, make sure you guys pop in, come asking questions, that kind of thing. Love seeing some repeat faces and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I'm live for probably 30 minutes answering any questions you guys got. One other quick PSA is that Labor Day sales are really starting to kick off. So lots of really good sourcing to be done right now. So definitely time to kind of crank things up if you've been, kind of getting your feet wet on Amazon, learning the ropes, all that kind of stuff. There's a lot of really good sales to get started selling on Amazon this week. And then we got Q4 coming up pretty soon as well. So yeah, make sure you're kind of understanding all the basics and all that good stuff before we get into the really fun part of the year. And yeah, good to see you guys today. Let me know what questions you guys got. Let's see, you said what model do you use? Yeah, so I sell name brand stuff that already sells. So for example, like name brand toys, stuff like this, right? And I'll buy it from either local retail stores or big online websites. Most of my stuff is from websites. Basically, online arbitrage is what you're looking for. Let's see, what is Boxem? What does that do? Yeah, so Boxem is the software used to list products, track your profit, and there's also an AI assistant within Boxem. So you can basically ask the AI assistant within Boxem how to source products, how to find certain items you're already looking at profitably, what to source based on what you'd like to do, that kind of thing. And it knows everything about Amazon basically. So any Amazon specific questions, the new Boxem AI can answer as well. So yeah, basically kind of the whole back end of your business is managed by Boxem. Sad there. Let's see, where do you get ungated to sell products? Yeah, so some products are auto ungated. That's kind of the best place to start. So look at Stafford, Cuddle Duds, Athletic Works, that kind of thing. That's usually what I'll recommend. And then all the listings that those people are also selling, there's a good chance those are also some auto ungated brands. So kind of, a little bit tricky the first time you do it, but it kind of makes sense. Just look up auto ungated Amazon sourcing on YouTube, auto ungated sourcing, and you'll see a video from myself, from my friend Miles. Let's see, what's up, Claire? What's up, Ibrahim? Good to see you guys. How to keep good account health. Yeah, just make sure you're always buying authentic inventory. So for me, I'm always buying from big websites. I know that Walgreens sells legitimate items, right? I know that Walmart sells legitimate items. If you're looking at some random, quote unquote distributor on Instagram or Telegram and their prices are way too good to be true, they probably are too good to be true, that kind of thing. So yeah, just make sure you're sticking to legit sources and you'll be good to go. I know a lot of people say if you get an IP complaint or that kind of thing, you can't use online invoices, but you definitely can. I've used a lot of them. So yeah, just make sure you're sticking to legitimate retailers. Beyond that, you'll be good to go. Let's see. How can you start online? Yeah, I mean, I would really just suggest to dive into the free course. I know a lot of you guys are true beginners of this stuff. So if you're a true beginner, just look up 4-hour free Amazon course on YouTube, or just Fields of Profit free course. That'll show you everything you need to know. There's also a 90-minute version if you want a more condensed version. But yeah, then Ibrahim, after you watch that, you'll kind of be able to ask a more targeted question. But if you're just trying to learn everything all at once, just watch the free course I made for you. That's on YouTube. Or I'm also live on TikTok with you guys today as well. So the free course is up in my bio up there on TikTok. How long have you been on Amazon? Actually coming up on 6 or 7 years. I sold my first item September of 2018. I don't know. I realized I was looking at my camera roll today. I thought I started in 2019 for a while, but I realized my first sales were in 2018. So I guess that puts me at close to 7 years at this point, which is pretty cool. Let's see. You're buying stuff online. Where do you find legit distributors? If you're looking for distributors to buy from, you can always just start with your local area. So let's say I'm just going to use Pokemon as an example. Everyone's trying to buy and sell Pokemon right now, but let's say you're really good at sourcing Pokemon products, right? And you're buying them all from websites. There's no reason not to start reaching out to distributors that already carry that brand, that are basically in your local area. Let's see, how long do you spend every day working on the business? So for me, I've been doing this for, like I said, 6 or 7 years now. So it takes me about 30 minutes a day to run my business. But that's because at this point I've implemented things like hiring virtual assistants. I've also hired a prep center that does all the shipping and all that kind of stuff for me. So early on, it was like any extra hours I had after college classes, basically, I would be spending on my Amazon business. But at this point, it's probably 30 minutes a day. Sometimes it's even less. Sometimes I won't even look at it. Other days I'll have like a team meeting and that kind of thing. And yeah, it just kind of depends on the day. But yeah, that's the big thing. Like for everybody, everybody watching, you're like curious about starting some kind of business. Just start a business that can be a real long-term business. To be honest, like if you like doing other business models, that's great. Just don't start a business model where it's like you're the one always picking up the phone, always making calls, always doing like everything yourself, right? Because then you just like bought yourself a job. You want like a real business. Let's see. Can you sell a listing that says spoon included if you don't have the? Yeah. So that's like a common way that people will try to like make their own private listings. So whatever you're listing on Amazon, make sure that you'd be happy receiving the item that you're about to sell, right? So let's say it's like new packaging or something like that. If it's new packaging on a grocery item, something like that, and then the packaging on the old one, like the ingredients, all that kind of stuff are the exact same, that's fine, right? Just make sure you're keeping customers happy and you'll be good to go. Let's see. What suppliers do you recommend to get ungated? Yeah, so any legit suppliers will work. I've bought from like Target, Walgreens, Vitacost, iHerb, I mean Ace Hardware, like any sites like that, right? Lowe's, Home Depot, any legit site you're buying from, and then you just upload that to Amazon, basically. Yeah, and for all of you guys, a lot of you guys on TikTok today, so keep the questions rolling, that kind of thing. And I've also got a free course for you as well. That if you want to see like everywhere I buy from, I put a spreadsheet of like 100 places I buy from in that free course. If you really want to see everything, and that's up in the Launchpad free course up there. What's up, Adrian? How you doing, man? I think Miles is on a plane or something like that today. So yeah, we're holding it down here. How much time do you give a test order to sell out before considering a win or a loss? Good question. Usually, if something doesn't sell after 30 days, that's where I'm just going to start trying to make as many sales on that as possible. Start lowering kind of the profit I'm looking for, basically. And that can kind of depend on the item too, right? So let's say you bought a pair of flip-flops in the middle of September as things start getting colder. I'm going to be more aggressive on making sure I sell out pretty quick because not a lot of people want to buy flip-flops in November, that kind of thing, right? Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. What was the profit from the 2.5 million? Yeah, so I shoot for about 10% margin after I pay my team and prep center costs and software and all that kind of stuff. Usually it'd be like 15 to 20% gross margin. That's just how I like to look at it. And then there's also Amazon sellers that have a lot higher margins than me, but they're usually working a lot more hours. So that's just kind of the trade-off I've been willing to make as a business owner. But if you want to work a lot more hours, you can definitely have higher margins. Kind of up to you there. Let's see. How do you get to my level quickly? I mean, like as with all things that work, right? There's no like getting rich fast, that kind of thing, right? That doesn't exist. I'm sure, hopefully you know that. Amazon's hard work, all that good stuff. I would say for me, like if you're really serious about it and you have capital, that kind of thing, you could become $1 million Amazon seller after 1 to 2 years. And I've seen it happen multiple times, but that's like, you're really dedicated, you have the money, that kind of thing. So it depends on like what your dream goals are, that kind of thing. There's even specific, I've interviewed a couple of people on my YouTube channel that were able to do that as well. So if you want to see other people that aren't me talking about that, then yeah, like Claire says, it's hard work, but if you're willing to, have some fun with it, the main thing, like with no matter what business you start, do something that you enjoy doing every day, right? You don't want to end up starting a business, even if it's like theoretically a good idea. Make sure you like at least enjoy the process a little bit. Otherwise, something that might theoretically make less money, but you really enjoy doing, you'd probably make more money in the long run doing something that you enjoy putting extra hours into versus something that, okay, maybe it is a better opportunity, but you're not having fun, right? That's the whole point. If you're not having fun making money, go back to the 9 to 5 job, kind of have the security or whatever you want to call it. You don't want to be able to set your own schedule. Yeah, for sure. That's a very nice benefit, Nikki. I'm a big fan of like going to the gym in the middle of like a middle of a work day. There's like 4 people there, that kind of thing. Yeah, there's a lot of benefits to that for sure. Let's see. Getting denied for ungating. Yeah, just keep submitting on that. Yeah. Let's see. What's up, Wicked? You said you've been watching me since 2020. Yeah. What's up, man? How's it going? Yeah. Said you took a break for a little bit. Yeah, I'd love to know how the Amazon business is going for you these days, or if you're kind of getting back into it, all that kind of stuff. What do you sell? Books? No. So I used to sell a lot of used books because it was like a really cheap way to start. Now I mostly sell like name brand products. So like toys, vitamins, grocery items, all that kind of stuff, right? Anything that I can buy from a website for around half of what I'm going to sell it for on Amazon. And obviously there's technical skills and knowledge and that kind of stuff that goes into it. So that's where like if you want a starting point on how to like just source those first items, just look up reverse sourcing on YouTube, or even better, just auto ungated sourcing on YouTube. That'll show you how to sell things that you're already allowed to sell, basically. Let's see. Do you give classes? You want to learn what you know? So yeah, we do like free live classes every couple weeks. We had one of those the other night. Right now, you can just look at the free Amazon course we have. So on YouTube, just look up Fields of Profit free course. And I made like a 4-hour-long YouTube video, so you can watch it in multiple sittings, take notes, whatever you want to do. But that's like the entire process, basically. For sure. Let's see. Should get the no, definitely not. Yeah, if you have like a few $100, that kind of thing, spend it on inventory, all that good stuff. Let's see. When you get into the point of a couple million in sales, you're focused on better margins or keeping it stable. That's a good question. Yeah. I would say the past year or so, it's definitely been focused on margin. To get to scale, I was focused on scale, right? So there's been multiple periods now where I've done 1.5 to 2.5 million in a calendar year. The first time I had those like 7-figure years, the margin was lower because I was still learning how to become very profitable at scale, right? So when you're growing, I was just focused on, getting bigger numbers, making sure it's profitable. And now I'm kind of optimizing and making sure it's as profitable as possible. Why 30 days for a test order? That's kind of like the baseline I'll buy for. I'll try to buy at least 30 days worth of inventory of something. Unless there are some, like, let's say you find an item on a really good sale, or it's like a Labor Day sale or a Black Friday sale, and you don't think that price is going to be back for a long time, then I might buy a lot more. Or if it's something that seems pretty risky, I might not buy a full month of stock. Maybe I just want 2 weeks. I don't want to take a full month worth of risk on that item, basically. Let's see. Whole shipping process is confusing. You're a beginner, just got approved. Yeah, glad you got that set up. As far as shipping, then you'll want to ship items through Boxem. So Boxem is the software, and that'll kind of walk you through like how to create shipments, all that kind of stuff. How to create shipments, how to list products on Amazon. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Ultimate. You can scroll through the page. I've been making videos for like 5+ years at this point. So yeah, we definitely been at it for a while. It's been a good time. Totally reasonable to be skeptical online, but you know what we're talking about. Let's see. How do you avoid getting an IP? So IP complaint is like if a brand doesn't want you on a product. Generally, you can avoid that by just looking at the past history of the item and making sure that there's always like a few third-party sellers on it, the brand's not selling it, that kind of thing. And just making sure no one's getting like rapidly kicked off the listing. Those are the big things, basically. For sure. Yeah, let's see. Do your VAs work Filipino time or your time? So most of them work their own time, just because like when it comes to like sourcing products is what the majority of my Amazon team does. They don't need to be sourcing at the same hours as me because it doesn't really affect when we're going to buy the products anyway. If you have employees that are like doing customer service or that kind of thing, then you might want to have them work American hours. But for me, it just wasn't important enough to make people like stay up all night. Basically, it makes life a lot worse when you're staying up all night. So it was better for me to like keep my team happier. And there's not really any major issue. Let's see, what minimums do you set on your repricer? Yeah, that's going to be usually just based on the item that I'm looking at. Typically, it's going to be like 30% ROI is kind of the baseline, unless I look at the data and I think there's like a good case that it could sell for way more. It's kind of item by item, basically. What's the YouTube video name? Yeah, so for all of you guys like curious about getting started, just look up Fields of Profit free course. There's a 4-hour-long YouTube video on YouTube that you can kind of learn all the basics from. Let's see, you said you joined the roadmap in February, you quit your job in September. We'll do $2 million this year, all FBM. That's what's up, man. Yeah, do I know your name? Your username on here is like a bunch of random numbers and stuff. I'd be curious if you've been on the calls and that kind of thing. That's what's up, though. That's awesome. So you started selling what, like a year and a half ago, and now you're about to do $2 million this year. That's sick. Congrats, man. Congrats. Let's see. Should you focus on selling auto-ungated products? You keep getting denied for invoices. That's a great place to start. Yeah, that way you can at least sell something while you're waiting for those ungates to go through. Basically, see what are some good Chrome extensions. I actually made a video breaking down like all of my free and paid tools I use. As far as Chrome extensions, I like a couple that might not like be as obvious are things like Session Buddy, Nifty Split. things like Loom for talking to your team, that kind of thing. And then another good free one is WAMP, which is basically Seller Amp for Walmart. Which another really cool thing is that WAMP added charts, so you can see all like the past history of the pricing data on any product you're thinking about selling on Walmart. So if for any of you guys that are selling on Amazon and Walmart, WAMP is like a free Chrome extension that shows you all the data, and it's free. So if you're already selling, you're probably paying for something, you might as well get on the free WAMP beta there. Let's see. You've been at this for 3 months. Just had your first $1,000 month. That's awesome, man. Yeah. Everybody goes at their pace. I think that was somewhere around what I did as well. I started in September, and then my first $1,000 month was that same year, December. Yeah, that was kind of that was what made sense for me. There was also a lot less information back in the day, so I think it would be maybe a little bit easier these days. But yeah, whatever's working for you. Even if you've sold $100 on Amazon, that's $100 more than most people will ever make on their own. So take your wins as they come. What's the difference between Boxem and regular Amazon? Yeah, so Amazon can't store your costs. It takes usually about twice as long to make an FBA shipment, and then you just don't have your data in the right place, basically. So it's basically a big time savings thing. If you're a business owner, you got to save yourself a little bit of time. And obviously you got to know if you're actually making money. How many products do your virtual assistants have to find per day? Usually it'll be anywhere from 5 baseline to 20 products on a really good day, if there's a lot of good sales going on, that kind of thing. The better way to track yourself or any team members you end up hiring is how much you're spending, because I don't care if somebody finds one lead. If I can spend $10,000 on it that day, that's better than 10 $100 leads. You know what I mean? So I don't really care about how many products I find. I care about how much money I'm spending on inventory. Let's see. Would you say you want to send 40 to 50 pounds per shipment? At least. Yeah, at least. Usually when don't go over 50 pounds in a single box, you get a fee from Amazon for being a team lift, basically. But the closer to 50 pounds you get, the closer it is to the cheapest shipping. So usually it's anywhere from 50 to 70 cents a pound. I've been seeing some pretty cheap shipments lately, to be honest. Maybe on average, probably 60 cents. Let's see, you've been selling for 5 days, done 3K revenue on an auto Ungate. That's what's up, Jose. Yeah, that's what taking action looks like. That's awesome. Yeah, so 5 days in, you done $3,000 in revenue. That's awesome, Jose. Congrats, man. Yeah, so keep now that you found a winning item, are there any other similar items to that winning item that you can source? Or maybe you used a certain sale to make that item profitable. What other things on that website, can you use that same discount method to create other profitable items on? That's awesome, though. That's a great start, Jose. Let's see. How do you know which you're auto ungated to sell? Yeah, so if you just try to list the item on Seller Central or Boxem, it'll tell you if you're gated or not, and then you can just apply if that brand is accepting applications, basically. For sure. Let's see. I usually shoot for about 10% net after I pay everybody on my team, that kind of thing. It's a back to school product. All right, I got you. Yeah, but still, you learned kind of how to take advantage of a short window on an item. So there'd be a lot of stuff like that you can buy on Labor Day sales. There'd be a lot of stuff like that, especially during the holiday rush, when toys and all that kind of stuff, makeups, all that stuff's going to start going up in price as people want to buy it as Christmas gifts and all that good stuff. Let's see, how much trouble would you get in for catch-all emails? No, there's no trouble for using catch-all email. Yeah, that's very smart. If you're asking that question, you've been doing your homework on Amazon. So I would say get after it if you have, especially if you haven't sold anything yet. I would say get after it. How do you add the cost of a discounted gift card and percent when you're buying a product? Yeah, Cortez, you've been doing your homework too there, man. Yeah, so that's a great way to add discounts to your products for any of you guys who are new. Let's say you find an item at Walmart.com, you buy it from Card Bear. It's a website that shows you discounted gift cards. So you can pay a $100 gift card for $90 theoretically. So then I'll just take a 10% discount on that item. That's how I like to look at it, basically. How long does it conservatively take to ramp up to 2.5 mil? Somebody in chat a second ago said that they're on pace for their $2 million year, and they've been at it for 18 months. So if you're serious about it, and I've seen that lots of times, if you're very serious and you got money, that kind of thing, you can definitely make that happen. For me, I'll just use first million. I don't remember when my first $2 million rolling year was. My first $1 million year was about 3.5 years into the business. I think somewhere around there. And it was also, I started with $1,500 total. So if I had more money to start with, and I should have been talking to more Amazon sellers quicker, a lot of stuff like that. I was kind of just like doing my own thing, selling used books. It wasn't making a ton for a little while. But yeah, that's what worked for me. Do you negotiate pay with your virtual assistants? Usually they'll have like a rate that they're asking for. But you can definitely like counter. Usually you just pay them like a salary typically. That's what I do, at least, unless they're truly like a part-time position. Where'd you get the first invoice to get ungated? Just from like a retail store. Yeah. So let's say you want to sell grocery items. You can get, 10 grocery products from Target and submit that as your invoice. You just need to buy from like a legit retailer or a legit wholesaler. For sure. Let's see. You started to do the 5 identical boxes they're selling as soon as they check in. Yeah, so you can do optimized shipments. That's awesome. You're taking Jose. You've been in the lab, man. That's awesome. Yeah. So what Jose's talking about, like if you ship 5 identical boxes in via optimized shipping on Boxem, usually they will charge you no extra fees instead of like paying the typical placement fees, and that it'll check in immediately at the warehouse because it's not like shuffling to more warehouses basically. Let's see. How do you get started? Short answer is start looking at what other successful Amazon sellers are already selling, especially successful small to mid-size Amazon sellers. So other people with 5 feedback, 50 feedback, 100 feedback, because you're probably going to be able to replicate the items that they're also sourcing. If you want to see like the long answer, there's a 4-hour long video on YouTube that'll show you literally everything. So just look up Fields of Profit free course on YouTube. Yeah, you can take the free class there. So Fields of Profit free course on YouTube. That'll show you what you need to know. Appreciate you, Gio. Yeah. Sweet. You have so much in credit card cashback, don't you? Yeah, that's like a whole nother part of it. Yeah. Like there's a lot of people who get into selling on Amazon because they are like big in like the credit card world. So they're wanting to like spend money to get free flights and points and that kind of thing. And then they realize that Amazon's actually a little more profitable than like dealing with like credit card churning is like what people will call it. But yeah, at this point, like, I don't remember the last time I like paid for a flight or a hotel or that kind of thing. It's kind of nice. You get a lot of like points and that kind of thing. Plus, the cashback from credit cards is actually smaller than the cashback that you'll get from just like cashback sites. Because every time I spend money, I get 2% back through a Capital One Spark. But usually you get at least 2% back going through like Top Cashback or Rakuten or lots of these different like cashback providers that are free to go through. And that's even more money than just like the credit card cashback. Let's see. That's interesting life choice, Milton. If that was the right decision for you, then I like it. You never know if somebody was toxic in your life, something like that. That's funny though. I haven't got around to playing either of those yet. Can you repeat the YouTube video? Yeah, so just Fields of Profit free course if you want to like learn the basics of everything. How to send a shipment, how to find products, what good products look like, what bad products look like, all that good stuff. Let's see. How do you add? You have to pay $90 for a $10 discount. Yeah, so I mean at that point it'd be a 10% discount on everything you bought, Cortez. It's just like you're just reducing your buy cost with a discounted gift card basically. Let's see. Don't go over 49 pounds. Yeah, exactly, Jose, for sure. Who goes through your Keepo alerts? Usually my team will be diving into that. But sometimes I'll mess with that as well if I'm doing some sourcing. But yeah, usually just letting the team do it. Let's see. Wait, so you can rack up cash back from credit cards and extension. Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, so like here, I'll just like out of curiosity. So there's a free site called Cashback Monitor. That's Cashback Monitor. And then just out of curiosity, I'm going to say like, let's say I buy something from Ulta today. I'm going to search and see. Okay, so the highest cash back you can get at Ulta is 7% cash back. So let's say you find something that's profitable already, and then you get 7% cash back, and you get another 2% cash back through your credit card. So you're basically getting like 9% of your money back on something that you already bought profitably, which is like definitely a very nice side effect of the business. It'll cover a lot of your like for me, it covers most of my living expenses, just the cash back from the business, which is very cool. I have not, Musa. Let's see. That's awesome, Chris. Yeah, that's awesome. What do you sell on Amazon, Chris? Let's see. You made 6 figures on Top Cashback reselling shoes. Yeah, that's awesome, man. Yeah, I know a lot of people like yeah, John. So I know a lot of people went from like the sneaker reselling world and were really good at selling on Amazon. It's honestly like kind of like a very common path because I know sneaker reselling isn't really quite as profitable as it used to be back in the free money era with with stimulus checks and all that kind of stuff floating around. But I know there's a lot of old sneaker sellers that became successful at Amazon because it's basically the same business model. Crazy how everyone switched over to Amazon. Yeah, for sure. Did you switch over too? Curious if you're like still in the shoe game or what you're up to after that. I know some people are still in the shoe game, but it's a lot harder these days. Let's see. You sold 18K this month. That's what's up, Will. You're trying to get some more capital to be able to recommend a loan. Yeah. So, Will, you'll get loan offers through Seller Central after you've been selling for a little bit. So if you're already doing like 18K months, you probably have a loan offer on Seller Central, and those are usually the biggest loan offers you're gonna get. Yeah. Let's see. You quit reselling 24, went full-time crypto. Hey, that whatever works. I'm a little too risk averse to dump everything into crypto, but I respect it. Let's see. How much would you say is a good amount to start with? At least $1,000. Ideally, you have like $2,000 or $3,000. 1,000 will work though. I had 1,500. Let's see. What's the ROI if you're starting out with $1,000? So it doesn't like matter how much money you start with as far as like ROI goals. Usually like an Amazon reselling account will average anywhere from 30 to 40% ROI, maybe a little bit higher if you're doing like limited time FBM flips. You're checking out like local stores, finding stuff that's like very limited time demand. Then you can definitely do some damage there. But usually, like, yeah, I'd say 35% on average is your ROI. Let's see. How can you find products from scratch? Yeah, so just go to like Great Value, Stafford, Athletic Works, any brand that is sold specifically by a retail store. Look at their listings on Amazon, and the other Amazon sellers on that listing have to be sourcing from big websites. So then hey, these people have to be sourcing from big websites. I'm going to figure out what big website they're buying from, and I'm going to buy the same product. Yeah, you don't need to like reinvent the wheel or anything like that. When reapplying, should you hit the reapply? Usually I'll make a new case unless they give me like a specific reason for why they didn't approve that brand, and then I'll just address that reason. Let's see. You started a month ago, sold 30 products, $300 in sales. That's what's up, Luke. Yeah, glad you're making those first sales there. Very cool. Let's see. You want a class on learning how to sell on Amazon? Yeah, Brandon. So if you just look up free Amazon course or Fields of Profit free Amazon course on YouTube, you'll see there's a really long YouTube video that breaks everything down for you. Yeah, and plus we also do some live classes. So the next live class will be September 9th, which is, it's a little bit from now, probably 10-ish days, something like that. So you can come to that as well. Is OA still viable? Would you say wholesale is better? I like doing OA. I've done wholesale, and I've even had periods in my business where I think I'm going to start doing more wholesale. But then I just realized the margins in OA are a little bit better. I'm just better at doing online arbitrage than I am at wholesale. I don't, I like running a business that I enjoy running, and I don't want to have to like call suppliers every day and all that kind of stuff. I just like figuring out how to get stuff cheap online, and you can scale it by hiring other people to do like the tedious stuff for you. I wouldn't scale OA if you're not planning on hiring anyone, just because it's a lot to do, especially if you're trying to hit like I would say once you get past $1 million a year or so, it's pretty difficult to do by yourself. You can do $1 million a year by yourself if if you're dedicated, that kind of thing. Yeah, I don't really do too much one-on-one. There is a link up in my bio, but more just focused on hooking you up with free resources and that kind of thing. Would you say OA FBM is the best method? I mean, there's no like best way to sell on Amazon because everyone's good at different things, right? But if your goal is to find like what's profitable today and cash in on very high profit, maybe a little bit riskier opportunities, then OA FBM is probably one of the best ways to go about it. For consistency, I like doing a lot more FBA, not having to ship products out every day, that kind of thing. Shooting for 300K revenue this December. That's what's up, man. Yeah, that's awesome. I'll be shooting for somewhere around there. Usually I'll do 3 to 500K in December, just because prices go so crazy. It's awesome. Let's see. I'm not sure if there's any like in-person stuff, Brandon. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, Wicked, you can just check out the free course and kind of just start taking action, I would say. Let's see. How do you reduce Amazon fees? All the profit is killed by Amazon fees. Yeah, so the nice part is everyone's paying the same exact Amazon fees. So it's not really like there's no, unlevel playing field. If fees are too high, then you need to create more discounts. It's not like lowering Amazon fees. They're honestly pretty reasonable, all things considered. Some of the extra fees they'll throw are kind of dumb sometimes, but all things considered, it costs usually about 30% of an item's sale price for them to find the customer, ship the item to the customer for us, and do all the customer service. So that's fairly reasonable when you think about it that way. If you're not able to find stuff profitable, then you need to find ways to create profit. So that's coupons, discounted gift cards, using cash back, loyalty rewards programs, trying to buy stuff at wholesale pricing, all that kind of stuff, right? Yeah. How long would it take to make 8K a month? Yeah, so you can look at that as like an ROI equation. So whatever your goal is, you need to spend about 3 times what your goal is in monthly spend, right? So let's say, for sake of round numbers, let's say you want to make $10,000 a month on Amazon. You need to spend about $30,000 on inventory because it's going to average around a 30% ROI. And then also considering that not every single thing you buy is going to sell at the exact ROI you wanted, and on the time schedule you wanted, it's probably closer to like 33 to 35K a month to make 10K a month in profit. Let's see. A million by yourself, would you say a VA is good at 10K in sales? Yeah, you can hire one whenever you want. I'm just saying, like, as far as like the ceiling, I've seen people as like solo operations. I've definitely seen several solo operations, doing low 7 figures, high 6 figures, but it gets tricky after that. Plus, you just like, for your own sanity, you might as well hire some help. If you're, on a million a year business, you're probably netting, 180 if you don't have anybody on your team. So you might as well pay, $1,000 a month for a virtual assistant. Let's see, if you want to make 4K, you need to be spending 12K ish. Yeah, I would even round that up a little bit. Just because, like I said, you're not going to sell everything you buy exactly when you hoped. Just kind of the nature of it, right? What happens if you send some products and they don't sell? So the nice part about like reselling, kind of the whole reason you want to sell things that are already in demand, is that they're already in demand, right? There's no guessing if things actually sell. Just because we have the data, you can look at SellerAmp. It shows you exactly how fast that thing's going to sell. It's just a game of being able to get it as cheap as possible, basically. Let's see. I'm not sure. I would check that. I'm not sure that those are still super profitable at this point. That was kind of a good item a few years ago. Yeah, let's see. They're asking for 100 Amazon. Yeah, just keep submitting. Whether it's a legit wholesaler or a retailer, all that kind of stuff. Amazon's been kind of picky on that recently. What up, Steve? How we doing, man? Good to see you. Let's see. You spent under 9K, made about 32K. If that was your profit, then that's crazy, man. I'm assuming that's your revenue, and it's like some pretty high ROI stuff. So far as like how to scale, especially if you're already making sales, scaling is just how did I find the items that I already found profitable, and how can I use that same method that I found item A profitably to find a new item B, right? So let's say you're at Walgreens, for example, and this item was profitable on a buy one get one plus a coupon. Okay, what other things are also profitable when I use that? You said it was a pallet store you found. Yeah, so as long as they're like selling you legit inventory, you can be a little bit careful with like liquidation, if that's what that is. It can be a little bit tricky as far as like Amazon documentation is concerned. But if you trust that supplier, then now figure out, okay, of the things that supplier sells, what else sells on Amazon, that kind of thing. Sweet. Yeah, super good vibes today. I'm gonna have to wrap it up here though. I want to hit the gym before it gets crazy, that kind of thing, and maybe play some golf, something like that. Get some activity in. So you guys have a good rest of your day here. If you're wanting a starting point, Fields of Profit free course on YouTube, and then just get a free trial of SellerAmp and a free trial of Boxem to kind of start managing your business, sourcing products, all that kind of stuff. Sweet, yeah. So good to see all you guys. You guys have a good rest of your day, and I will see you very soon.